everybody, in this video we're going to talk about equivalent forms of quadratics, and at the end of the video I want us to be able to identify the three different forms of quadratics and convert between the three of them. Okay, so let's first talk about what does equivalent mean. So equivalent means similar but not identical. So notice they're not identical because 1 over 2 are not the same numbers as 2 over 4, but they mean the same thing. Half of a pizza is the same thing as 2 out of 4 pieces of pizza. So the meaning is the same, but they just look a little bit different. And that is different from equal, where equal means all the numbers are exactly the same and they match perfectly. So when we're talking about equivalent functions, they're going to look similar, not exactly the same, but in the end, when we simplify them down, they're going to have the same solution and the graphs will be exactly the same. So for example, if we were looking at these two equations, they do not look the same, so they are not equal. But if I was to both simplify them for y, if I were to distribute the 2, I'd get 2x plus 8. If I was to add the 2 to the other side, I would also get 2x plus 8. So we call these equivalent functions because although they didn't look the same at the front, they ended up being exactly the same function and exactly the same graph at the end. So when we're talking about quadratics, there are 3 different forms that we're going to talk about: standard form, intercept form, and vertex form. I know we've looked at these before, but now we're going to kind of dig in to see why do we need these different forms. So when we're looking at standard form, it is really nice because it'll show us the y-intercept, 0c, so the c value here, and we can find the vertex using the formula negative b over 2a. We'll do that in a second. Next is intercept form when we have 2 parentheses, and this is nice because we can find the x-intercepts here just by setting each parenthesis equal to 0. And lastly, vertex form tells us the vertex, hence the name, and it's always c comma d, and again, that's at the very tip of your quadratic. So why are we going to need to convert from one form to the other? Well, just like we saw, each of them gives a little bit different of information. So for example, if we have intercept form, it's the easiest to find the x-intercept, so we could do the work to find that. But if we wanted to convert to standard form, we could have the y-intercept very easily because we know it's the 0c. So that's kind of the idea behind why are we going to need to convert. In the next video, we'll go over, but I just want us to know the 3 different forms and what they are used for. So if you want to look one more time, standard form is y-intercept vertex, intercept form is really good for the x-intercepts, and vertex form is good for the vert.